Now you choose. All right, and now we have sound.
Thank you, Phil.
It's good to...
Can you hear us, Phil? Okay, Phil in the box. He's our sound guy.
That's fine.
We need to get him some big headphones.
Yeah, we can do that.
We need to get you a clipboard.
All right, so as we were saying, although you couldn't hear it at the time,
Yes.
over the last weekend we had an event where Anvil Eight Games came out to demo their game Aetherium, which Andy jumped into head first.
Yeah, as after I said I don't need another miniatures game, and I played it, and yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Aetherium?
So basically what Aetherium is, it's another skirmish level war game. I mean, there's plenty of those, but once again, Aetherium goes off on a different path where it's based in sort of this weird, think Reboot meets The Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, if anyone gets the Reboot reference. But basically, it's taking place inside the internet for the most part, like a mainframe of sorts. And, I mean, long story short, basically, you have all these bizarre factions fighting for control over the board. But what's different about Aetherium, I mean, this sounds like you could just make for, like, a standard war game. It's all the manipulation you can do. You can actually, well, first off, one cool thing is out of the core box, you get everything you need. You get 2 factions, you get the map, you get the tiles, you get everything you need. You don't need terrain.
Mm-hmm.
I know
that playmat's very nice.
Yeah, no, it's top quality, and I know that was one of the big things that they were saying. You know, it's nice. You can buy the game, and you have everything you need. It's not like you need to make makeshift scenery or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of have fun with it right away. But cool concepts in it is one, specialty dice. It's 3 dice, 5 dice maximum, and they're all
D12s.
Yeah,
And they're made by Q Workshop, which they're known for making really, really high-quality dice.
and they definitely feel nice in your hand. They feel good when you roll them. It's got a really unique system for dishing out damage where you don't have to take, once again, I said this with Runewars, you don't have to have like thousands of dice throwing them all at once. But the real gimmick, I feel even calling it a gimmick is kind of unfair, is you could actually change the board. Which
Right.
I thought was really cool because in Aetherium, you have these tiles that basically make up. You can check out the playthrough video where actually, unfortunately, I forgot his name from Anvil Eight Games.
Brian.
Brian from Anvil Eight Games actually walks. I'm actually playing against another store regular.
Oh, no, you played against Chris, I believe.
Well, I played against Chris.
Chris taught you the game.
Chris taught me how to play.
Chris and Brian were here.
Because then I played with Russell, and that was where actually one of the lead creators of the game, I believe.
Yeah, it was Chris was showing you.
Yeah, showed us how to play, and it's really cool because essentially, unlike most war games where the terrain is kind of stationary, this you can actually shift it to your will.
Mm-hmm. You're fighting over control of the battlefield, where you actually control the battlefield.
Yeah, like one of the cool things I did was I actually, because you can knock people off the playing field, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun way to take down somebody's bigger units.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to make a spot for me to throw them off, even though things were kind of cluttered. I actually spread out the terrain and then kicked him right off. Like kicked his avatar, which is essentially your war master, war leader, whatever you want to call it, off into the quantum noise.
Yeah,
a lot of cool cyberpunk terminology.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're into that kind of,
and the map is the playmat is this really lovely purple with a yellow grid on it, and the different terrain boards move around on the map itself.
it has a very 90s appeal to it.
Yeah.
Like I guess, I'm trying to think. Besides Reboot was one of the first things I think of. Samurai Cyber Squad.
Sure.
If you remember that.
I do.
I mean,
doesn't that have Tim Curry voicing the villain?
I think it did, but it also had kind of a similar backdrop where it was like this weird bluish. But it's a beautiful looking game. We actually have some of the miniatures on display, including the ones that I fell into.
Let's take a look at the miniatures.
Seeing is believing in this case.
There we go.
So, as you can see, these are some of the basic miniatures for the game. Got 2 different factions here. These over here, I believe, are the Axiom. If I'm getting my terminology right, forgive me, I'm still catching up. As I said, I was not expecting to get super into this, but these are actually being painted by Brian, otherwise known as the Admiral, who you've seen on the X-Wing streams. sometimes in the background dancing. But they typically do come in your standard gray, really high quality, really high detail. This was actually the model, I would say, that kind of got me. It kind of, if you look at it, the faction I chose was basically these nautical themed web divers who basically live in the quantum noise, which is, where what we were talking about is what the board is kind of made of. It's sort of a no-fly zone for a lot of the factions, but these guys kind of actually utilize it. So you have all sorts of different units, all fantastic detail.
Why don't you turn them around a little
yeah.
bit so you could see?
But like, this guy, I think, is probably the best representation of the kind of detail you're going to see. Because think like sort of the Big Daddy from BioShock meets, I don't even know. This sounds like something you'd see out of The Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of really cool references you could probably pick up in here. But I'm really looking forward to painting these. Love the detail. Another one of my favorite units that really drew me in. This is essentially known as Leviathan, which is once again kind of like, you know what it reminds me? It reminds me of that movie Deep Rising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of just the gross mutant. Deep Rising, underappreciated movie in my mind.
Yeah, that guy's going to be real fun to paint.
But these are probably the thing that really kind of got me. They're called sirens. Basically, they're cool-looking ladies in crazy-looking steampunk sort of.
Like scuba suits?
Yeah, it's like old-timey bathysphere-style scuba suits. I know Will, who you've seen me play many games against, was very upset that I grabbed these out from under him. But his faction is nothing to.
Yeah, his faction is is House Hikaru, which are the corporate ninja.
I mean, just to give you kind of an idea, really awesome packaging on these guys too. But this is what your typical faction box will come with, and this is another one of the factions, House Hikaru. Kind of reminds me of the game Warframe, which I know actually Marty, one of our bigger X-Men players, is a big advocate and thing for. But just these are some little showing me some of the models he had. Once again, the detail on these things is just incredible.
And that does give you an avatar, 2 functions, and 2 subroutines. So that is a full team that comes in that box.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't actually know the price of this offhand, but I mean, you can get started with this game. The core box comes with, as I said, everything as far as the mat, the tiles. You actually get the Axiom army, which are these cool little like riot trooper looking guys along with their avatar, and then you get I forget the name of the other faction, but they're more of like the underdog faction.
They are called the Naname.
And actually, thanks to Brian, I'll actually give you guys kind of a quick look at that beautiful playmat we were talking about. Like I said, credit goes out to Anvil Eight Games. They really do not skimp when it comes to the goods on their products.
Oh, here are some painted Naname figures that Brian's been working on.
So, ooh, this guy. Oh, me.
Move it a little closer because the focus is...
These guys are kind of like your underground sort of...
like anarchists.
Yeah, I think this guy is actually one of the ones I really had fun playing with. Molotov, Tobbs is known as. Really funny little joke about this guy is that he actually creates literal firewalls in the game.
That stops the other programs from entering.
It blocks line of sight. It stops programs. Lots of really cool little ways that game kind of makes it its own. And the whole gameplay system is really unique, which I think helps it kind of stand out, because as I said last time we did the show, with Rune Wars coming up, miniature wargaming is becoming a very competitive market, thanks to Kickstarter kind of stepping up and allowing more people to kind of come in with these passion projects that really let people do what they want with the concept. You're no longer limited to just Warhammer, War Machine. Now you have even off the beaten path kind of stuff, which is fantastic. So,
So right now Andy is going to roll out the map so you can get a good look at what the playfield actually looks like.
We got to get those lapel mics.
Yeah.
Granted, this one was unfortunately folded a few times before it was used, but you get the kind of idea. Pop that up on the tripod.
Here, what is it?
Okay. I don't know how anything works.
Let me just pull the focus here.
Thank you for our viewers for letting me know that I was talking a little too loud or low. Phil, you're supposed to be on this. Yeah, come on. You're not going to earn that clipboard if you keep up this slacking. Okay, so, but this is essentially the playmat you get inside, and you also get some of the tiles that you get to place on it. And to give you an idea kind of how the movement works, it's all grid-based, so no measuring, no using a tape measure, anything like that. You actually would just move square by square by square, which really speeds up the gameplay and keeps it from becoming a matter of judging, am I in range, am I out of range? You don't have to mess around with that. Everything's kind of clearly put. Range is all done in squares, which I think really is a great idea because it kind of creates it more like a board game as opposed to a straight-up miniature war game. Sorry. This is a proof, though. Roll your mats when you're done with them. And inside the core box, you get this fantastic book that goes through the world, the lore, wonderful artwork, go through all the details, and actually, I guess we're going a little further into Aetherium, which I'm okay with. We're only planning on doing sort of a quick run through, but this game is one of those talking points that you can't seem to get away from. So it's basically a modular setup. Get all these tiles in the base game, complete with line of sight, blockage, terrain, and during the game, give you kind of an idea. Let's say I have a character right here. I want to attack him. In game, you get a system of points called RAM that you can actually use on your turn to shift the playfield how you want, depending on how much RAM you have. So, let's say I need to get over here, because I want to kill that guy. 1, 2, 3. As long as I have the RAM for it, I can bridge the gap, do my attack, and if I still have RAM left over, make a retreat.
Now, this is something that we do have some playthrough videos from the event, which we'll make sure to have a link for in the comment section below if you want to see a really in-depth playthrough of how.
Yeah, because it's one of those things. It seems it's a very deep game once you get into it. But I highly recommend it, especially if you're someone who has been wanting to try a war game, but kind of gets put off by the whole measurement stuff like that.
Right.
And I understand how a lot of people want to have to deal with getting measuring sticks and then.
Yeah, some people absolutely love it. Other people, it's kind of a turnoff. So this is a great game that's kind of bridges the gap between a board game and a miniatures game.
I would say better than most.
Yep.
And it even makes that whole idea of the grid system its own sort of appeal.
Yes.
Because it allows you to do that whole shifting. Like, no matter how much I explain that, until you finally see it in action or you actually use it, it completely changes how you'll approach the game. Because at first, like when I first started playing, you'll see in my play video, one of the playthrough videos I was in, started off, once I brought the terrain together to get to the point that I needed to hold, I kind of forgot about it. But then as the game went on, you start to realize you can do cool things like do it to put enemies out of the way so they can't attack you, or to actually set up combos where you knock someone off the board.
Right.
So, really ingenious strategy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those. I can't wait to see the Resex figures you have painted, because those nautical themed figures just look absolutely beautiful.
I mean, I can only hope it's half as good as the guidebook they give you.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying the artwork in here is fantastic. And the fact that you get this inside the core box along with everything else. I mean, for what? How much is the retail for? 89.
89, yeah.
I mean, that's everything you need out of the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very, very interesting, very fun game.
That and the models aren't hard to build at all.
No.
For as high quality as they are, there's not a whole lot of pieces. I had my Resix army built in probably 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually really funny because there are so many, even though they play very, very, very differently from each other, there's a lot of similarities between this game and then the next game that we want to talk about. We went over it a bit last week as well, but there's been some announcements made that warrant us going back and taking a look at a few more things about Rune Wars. So let me pull that up here.
Rune Wars is the other big combat game that looks like it's going to bridge the gap between being sort of a skirmish level game to being a full-blown...
Really, like that gap between board games and miniatures games.
Yeah.
So they have made the announcement today that the Latari Elves faction is going to be coming out Q3 of this year. And it's a really interesting choice. Instead of having them being separate factions, it comes with 4 different units and everything that you need for them. And it looks like 2 more pieces of terrain, 1 large, 1 small. So you really do have your starter set for the elves. And let's take a look at what the figures are that come in it. There's the Leonix Riders. I'm assuming that is a mix between a lion and a lynx is where they're getting that spelling from.
Interesting choice of felines.
Mm-hmm. So there's a cavalry option. And the hero figure is also fits in with the cavalry, so it can be played on her own or as part of that unit. And they give you everything that you need right here, the front and back of the play cards, as well as the full movement dial. And look how mobile those riders are.
Yeah, one thing I learned from playing against Will when he was using the Deccan cavalry units are incredibly scary in this game.
Or something that I just noticed here, they have, at a 7 initiative, they have a march forward 4, but one of their charges has +1 on it. So you charge forward 5, or...
So you're waiting, but you're also going to be clearing a lot of space, so you can really...
Yeah, they move right in.
Jeez.
That is...
And who picked this faction in the store?
This would be Brian. Brian is going to be running the elves. He's going to be our go-to expert for this faction. What else do we have here? Here is that hero figure.
Lady riding a wolf, always a good go, or I'm assuming, or is it one of those lynx?
It looks like a wolf. Elena of Summer Song. And let's see what her ability is here. After deployment, you may remove 1 allied unit of Leonix riders from the play area, then redeploy that unit.
Actually, something cool if you scroll down just a little bit more. This has kind of a cool little segment with the, if you look at the, next to the +1 on the right side, it has a shift movement that's actually based on the runes that come up, so that can kind of be...
As a modifier.
Yeah, so I mean,
so you could move forward 4 and then shift, or shift 2 and then continue shifting. There's also a reform action that can be used with any of her dials. So she could move, she could attack, and then shift what direction they're facing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. On the one hand, I'm glad I'm getting I'm into one of the factions that's coming out with the core game, but these guys are really cool.
Yeah, they are. And then we have their siege unit, which looks like a big, hideous tree monster. It's called the Amhelen Scions. And they do have a rune-based movement.
Similar to the Golem.
Mm-hmm. But it's using a different rune. There's shifting ground. There's a ranged attack.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and a ranged attack that you can modify by changing what direction you're facing as well. That's really scary.
I really can't wait for all the factions to be available, because I think that's going to make a really cool amount of fights you can have.
And then finally, in addition to cavalry, they have archers, the Deepwood Archers. Let's see what their ability is here.
No, it seems like kind of an interesting blend of the Wykar and the Khan, because Wykar has archers, the Khan has cavalry units. These guys don't seem to have any.
They don't have any straight foot soldiers.
But they seem to have a lot of mobility.
Yep. Let's see. When you do a ranged attack, spend 2 charge. After this attack, perform a speed 1 shift. This cannot be used to disengage. And the example it has here is firing your arrows at somebody and then moving out of the way so they can't charge you on the next attack.
That's really nasty.
Or you, let's see what speed that happens at, because it might be that it happens fast enough. Yeah, their range attack is at a 5. So that could theoretically happen before they even get their ability to do anything. So it really is, if you have somebody if you're going up against that, you have to kind of bank on the idea that they're going to do that and choose which way.
Well, that's the whole key to this game. It's kind of knowing what your enemies can do and if they'll do it.
Mm-hmm. But they also have no charging ability.
Yeah, I don't think any of the... I'm kind of curious if the Uthukulan will have something like with a range that has a charge, like a cross-class unit.
What is their melee damage? Or range damage? Just 2 blue dice.
And their melee is 1.
1, yeah.
Similar to the Wykar archers.
And then there's this Tangle token that I believe comes from the Scion. It's you can give the Tangle tokens.
Yeah, we have to play with the add-on cards. I really think that's going to be a big part of the strategy.
Yeah, and now that we do have 2 sets of the game here in the store, we could also start putting up videos of larger matches, and we've had a chance to get more acquainted with the rules as well.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to see what a full match on a 3x6 area looks like. And
with the terrain,
how well that goes through. Now, the other big announcement having to do with Rune Wars that goes along with this one is, okay, so maybe you just want to play the elves, and you don't want to buy the core set because that has 2 factions that you're not interested in.
Yeah.
But the core set is where you get your movement templates, your morale deck, all of the tokens.
It's like with X-Wing.
Exactly.
You can't jump right into playing Scum.
Or Armada, even.
Yeah, that's true.
One of the things that they announced today was the Runewars Miniature Games Essentials Pack. And it comes with everything that you get in the base game, except for any of the miniatures and cards for the armies. So you could jump in and start right away with, I'm getting the elves, I'm getting this, and I'm getting my essentials pack, and I'm ready to play.
That's smart marketing, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they started doing that with pretty much all their games, I mean, especially with something of this scale, because, you want people to jump into it. But, of course, like you said, I mean, what if I don't have any interest in playing the...
This is something I'd also love to see for something like X-Wing.
Yes.
Where you could have someone say, all right, I just want to play Scum and Villainy, so I'm going to buy Most Wanted, and I'm going to buy a Punishing one, and I want
a
this.
Protectorate or something like that. You can kind of pick and choose and come in with the faction you want.
Mm-hmm. So
it definitely seems like Fantasy Flight is really going into this full force.
Yeah, and I love to see that, because everything I've played with this game, I've very, very much enjoyed. So hopefully at some point this week we're going to get a video up that will have the full match with both army, or a full army on both sides.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that is coming up this week that we're real excited about is our Armada events on the
12th and the 13th.
12th and the 13th. That's the Wednesday and Thursday this week. We're going to be playing Armada
pretty much exclusively. I know me and Ken are really looking forward to it, because as 2 of the bigger Armada players in the store, we're going to be here and probably doing as many matches as we can get in.
Yep, and we're going to be live streaming matches that day as well.
Yep.
If there are any new players that would like to come out to Greenfire Games to try the game out, or if you've been playing for a while and you'd like to play against a few new players, you're welcome as well. The address here is 4811 West 95th Street in Oak Lawn. And I believe we have people starting to roll in around 5 p.m.
Yeah.
to get things set up.
I'm probably going to head in right after I get off work so I can get
Yeah.
stuff ready.
So we'd love to see new people coming out, and hopefully,
I'd really,
we'll have a good turnout for
I would
those.
really like to play someone besides Ken and Will.
Yeah, yeah. That's it's very disheartening. Every time I play against Will in pretty much any game, and I lose quickly.
Yeah, he's good.
I learn a lot though.
Yeah,
you learn a lot playing
that is
against
true.
them.
That is true.
Yep. So the last thing that I want to talk about is checking in with what's been going on in Kickstarter over the last week. And that is the big thing that's happening is Gloomhaven.
And both figuratively and
Second
literally.
printing. This is a huge, huge game. And if you take a look in the description of the video, we do have a link to our unboxing for Gloomhaven as well. And that was for the first printing. One of our customers brought it in and was kind enough to let us open it up and see what's in there. And man, oh man, is there a lot of game in that box.
Yeah, I was off to the side playing Imperial Assault with somebody, and I kind of was just glancing over at the unboxing before I watched the video or anything, and it's a hefty game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they really cram as much as they can inside that box.
Yeah, and if you look, one of the things that you'll see here is their goal was $100,000, which they got funded in 5 minutes. They are currently at just under $1.8 million has been pledged to this campaign.
And this is day 7 of 28, right?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
So there's a full 3 weeks to go on this one.
Do you think maybe they'll get enough to where they can just print it so it'll be always in stores?
Oh,
I mean,
well, it's a tricky thing. I know we are getting a few copies.
Oh.
One of the cool things that comes with this is they are, if you already got the game the first time around, there are a few things that you could get. The upgraded health and dial, or the upgraded health and experience dials, the solo scenario book, a revised rule book.
Wait, you can play this game solo too?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So you can add those on. I think it's a total of $25 to get everything that wasn't in the box for the first one, and then you can get those.
They're taking kind of a Cthulhu Wars approach.
Or for the $99 pledge, you can jump right in and get the game that has those revised things for the new print run already in it.
So for $99, you get this incredibly. Jeez. Now, does the game include miniatures out of the box and stuff?
Yes, it does. It has some really nice, really heavily detailed miniatures, which you can see. Those aren't changing from the last printing. So if you look at our unboxing video, you get to see all of the ones that are available at the start of the game, because there are sealed boxes that you only open when instructed to do so. So we only looked at things that are available straight from the beginning, the first time around. It's a game I really want to play.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like.
I love those long form campaigns. I love the different types of classes. There are no stretch goals on this. He doesn't like all of the stretch goals got achieved the first time around.
So he's just going.
There's nothing Kickstarter exclusive because he doesn't like Kickstarter exclusives.
I can respect that a
He
lot.
likes the full game as being something that you can find no matter which version of it you get. There's even a company out there that makes reusable stickers for the game, so that if you don't want to permanently change the board, and you could play it again with different groups or with different over longer periods of time and start a completely new game, you're able to do that.
I'm still just mind blown by the fact that it's only $99.
Yeah, that's I believe that is the special Kickstarter price.
I mean, that's still amazing for just a Kickstarter price, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watch the video, I mean, seeing the box in person is kind of a whole nother.
Yeah, it's.
You could probably hurt somebody if you threw it at them.
Let me see what the.
Well, like I said right there, it's a big, heavy game.
Yeah, he says how much it actually weighs in here.
25 pounds, I believe, is what I was.
Somewhere in there. It is a huge, huge box. Much bigger than you think it could be. It is
I mean,
massive.
I was pretty shocked when I got my copy of Cthulhu Wars, because I was like, wow, this is a This is a giant box for a game, but Gloomhaven looks like it might be just about there, if not slightly bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I also have Onslaught 2 coming, so we'll see how... see if the box has gotten any larger from then. I know I'm triggering one of our viewers right now by constantly saying the word box.
It happens. He'll be fine.
He'll survive. Wuss.
Let's see. Was there anything else that you really wanted to talk about? What was going on?
One thing I'm really excited about is over the weekend. If anyone knows, Games Workshop has been really trying to right whatever wrongs they've committed in the past because they haven't had the best PR, despite having a very rabid fan base. One of the big things that they released at Adepticon, or they showed off at Adepticon, was Shadow War Armageddon, which is essentially a remake of Necromunda, which was a really popular skirmish-level Warhammer game back in the day. I mean, long before I ever played it. But it was very well-loved, very, very popular way to play the game. Last Saturday, they released Shadow War Armageddon. It sold out before it even hit the stores.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to get right now, unless you want to pay an insane amount. But
That's very similar to another recent thing Games Workshop had done with the Battle for Vedros boxes.
yes, I've never seen one. I mean, I remember hearing that was going to be in toy stores. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone seeing one actually present.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actually going to be releasing just the rules for Shadow War. Starting April 22nd, you can pre-order them digitally, or you can get a hard copy. It's going to have all the rules, and the big thing that's exciting about this game is that you don't need a lot of units to play it.
Okay.
So you can actually buy a $30 box of Space Marines, whatever faction you want to play as, and this book will have the rules to play them right away. I just think it's a cool idea because
That is nice.
I mean, Warhammer's one of those things, like everyone's probably seen it, heard of it, but getting into it can be kind of intimidating because you see these people with these giant crates full of 1,000 units.
Or you see the people that are award-winning painters and their figures look like an actual photograph of a person.
Yeah.
You don't. That's wonderful if that's something you can do.
I mean, I wish I could do that.
I mean, here we just paint for the table. What looks good when it's 3 feet away from your head?
Pretty much. And I would really love to see that game I would really love to see more people try out 40K because they're gearing up to doing the 8th edition rules, which are going to be they're really trying to bring people who I just really like the fact that wargaming in general is starting to become more of a casual friendly sort of thing where because I'm casual at it.
Yeah.
I mean, my problem is I jump from game to game so often, as evidenced by the mini event and this with Wreck Age and everything else. So having these games that are you don't need $1,000 worth of units, you can get it all in a box and be ready to go.
And that's my background is board games.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of what I think Shadow War is going to be. Sure, you still have the measurement, but it's more focused on, and you can use it as a narrative campaign too. Like the rules actually have it where your characters will level up as you go.
Okay.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I really can't wait for them to get the rules out because. Actually, they've made a bunch of the rules available in PDFs already for like certain factions, but you have to wait to get the whole how to play because I still have no idea how to play 40K. I own quite a few units, and I still have no idea how to play that game. But that was about the one big thing I was really excited about, that they finally announced they're doing that. But then again, why do we need that when we have Aetherium?
Yeah, I definitely want to play a few games this week, and I know we're getting a lot of Armada in, and Rune Wars comes out. The actual base game is released this Friday.
Yeah.
So this is a big week for minis.
My airbrush is going to be getting a lot of use. You know what? I can see one for anyone out there, because I mentioned BioShock a lot. Anyone who's ever played the game System Shock will probably really love the look of this game. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Not terribly familiar, no.
It's another one of those strange kind of like cyberpunk sort of. Actually, I don't know. It's so weird to narrow down what exactly this game is.
I mean, this makes me think of like. Do you remember Johnny Mnemonic?
Vaguely, I remember it had a really good pinball machine.
All right, that's fair.
A very well sought after pinball machine that was more memorable than the movie than most people. I didn't think the movie was bad, but I just don't remember it.
It has that kind of fun feel to it.
Well, yeah, because I mean, just once again, looking at all the units, you got ninjas, you got SWAT people, you got whatever this guy is. He's a guy with.
He's one of the Omni programs.
I mean, he's a guy with
One real big
basically-
dude.
Yeah. I can't wait to play more of this.
All right. Well, I think that wraps everything up for this week.
Yes.
So thanks for watching, everybody. This is Mike and Andy here at Greenfire Games. This was the second episode of Talking Tokens. If please feel free to leave any comments that you'd like us to, anything you'd like us to address in future episodes.
Yes.
Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're ever in the area, just stop on by. We're always playing games here. All right. Everyone have a good night.